First contact gone wrong. Commander Sarah Chen stood at the observation deck of the International Space Station, watching the swirling lights that had appeared simultaneously above every major city on Earth. 37 massive ships, each one a different architectural style, hung in the sky like abstract art pieces. The first thing humanity learned about aliens was that they had a flair for dramatic entrances. Commander, the UN Security Council is requesting your presence in the emergency briefing, her AI assistant chimed. Sarah sighed, taking one last look at the ethereal display. As head of Earth's Space Defense Initiative, she'd spent years preparing for first contact. None of those preparations had accounted for 37 different alien species showing up for dinner without calling ahead. The holographic conference room materialized around her as she donned her neural interface. Representatives from Earth's major powers sat around a virtual table, their avatars betraying varying degrees of concern. Above them floated a projection of the message that had been broadcasting on every frequency for the past hour. Greetings, Earth. The Galactic Assembly welcomes you to the cosmic community. Your quarantine period has ended. Please prepare for evaluation. General Wong of the Asian Coalition spoke first. Quarantine period. They've been watching us. Like a planetary zoo exhibit, Sarah replied, pulling up the preliminary analysis. Our quantum physicists have confirmed these ships have been here for centuries, using some kind of advanced cloaking technology. They've seen everything. Everything. President Rodriguez of the American Union paled. All of human history. World wars, nuclear weapons, reality TV shows. The whole package, Sarah confirmed. And based on their message, they're here to judge whether we're ready to join their club. The first alien to physically step onto Earth's soil did so 3 hours later in Geneva. The being, who introduced itself as High Observer Angstful of the Galactic Assembly, looked remarkably like a bioluminescent praying mantis in a tailored suit. Sarah stood among Earth's hastily assembled welcome committee, trying not to stare at the way Angstful's antennae twitched in response to every sound. We have studied your species with great interest, Angstful announced, its translator converting clicks and chirps into smooth English. Your planet is unusual. Unusual how? Sarah asked, though she had a growing suspicion. Your world should not support complex life. High gravity, corrosive atmosphere, extreme temperature variations, constant tectonic activity, deadly radiation from your star. Angstful's antennae quivered. And yet you not only survived but thrived. Most concerning. Sarah exchanged glances with her colleagues. Earth had always seemed pretty normal to them. Furthermore, Angstful continued, your species exhibits behaviors that defy rational analysis. You deliberately expose yourselves to danger for entertainment. The alien projected a hologram showing humans skydiving, running marathons, eating spicy foods, and playing contact sports. You mean sports and hobbies? Sarah asked. Those are just for fun. Fun. Angstful repeated the word like it was examining a particularly dangerous specimen. You find potentially lethal activities. Fun. The meeting deteriorated from there. Every human attempt to explain their culture seemed to disturb the aliens more. When Sarah mentioned that humans kept predatory animals as pets, 3 of Angstful's assistants had to excuse themselves from the room. The final straw came during the diplomatic dinner. A human delegate casually mentioned zombie apocalypse movies, explaining how humans enjoyed imagining scenarios where civilization collapsed and they had to survive against all odds. You fantasize about your own extinction events. Angstful's normally composed demeanor cracked. For entertainment. Well, not just zombies, another delegate helpfully added. We have movies about alien invasions too. The silence that followed was deafening. 24 hours later, the Galactic Assembly issued their verdict. Sarah stood with Earth's leaders as Angstful delivered the proclamation that would change human history forever. After careful deliberation, the Assembly has classified humanity as a Class X species, a potential threat to galactic stability. Your biological adaptability, psychological resilience, and apparent attraction to dangerous situations make you uniquely unsuitable for integration into galactic society. That doesn't sound good, Sarah muttered. Earth will be contained. Your space travel capabilities will be restricted. Any attempt to expand beyond your solar system will be met with immediate force. This is not negotiable. The human representatives absorbed this information with surprising calm. Sarah stepped forward, a slight smile playing at her lips. High Observer Angstthal, with all due respect, humanity has never responded well to being contained. We've spent our entire history breaking out of boxes others tried to put us in. Are you sure you want to try? Angsthal's antennae went rigid. Is that a threat, Commander Chen? Not at all, Sarah replied cheerfully. Just an observation about human nature. We're quite stubborn that way. Also, while we've been having this lovely chat, our quantum engineers have been reverse engineering your cloaking technology. Fascinating stuff. The alien's compound eyes widened fractionally. Impossible. Your species is pre-singularity. You lack the necessary. A small drone materialized in the center of the room, hovering quietly. Sarah's team had coded its cloaking system using principles derived from studying the alien ship's energy signatures. It wasn't perfect, but it had taken them less than a day. Here's the thing about humans, Sarah said, watching the color drain from Angsthal's exoskeleton. We don't like being told what we can't do. It tends to make us rather creative. The Galactic Assembly had made a crucial mistake. They had spent centuries studying human history, but failed to understand its most important lesson. Humanity's greatest innovations often came from being backed into a corner. They had just backed 11 billion humans into the same corner at once. The containment of Earth was about to become the galaxy's most interesting experiment in unintended consequences. The ultimatum and the shrug. The day after the Galactic Assembly declared Earth a threat to cosmic stability, humanity responded in its characteristically unpredictable way. They held a party. Commander Sarah Chen watched from her office as celebrations erupted across the globe. Humans had just been told they were too dangerous to join galactic society, and their response was to throw festivals. Street vendors in Mumbai sold "Too Spicy for Aliens" t-shirts. Times Square displayed a giant billboard reading "Class X Species and Proud." In Sydney, someone had organized an interstellar containment rave. They really don't understand us at all, do they? Dr. Maya Patel, Earth's leading genotechnologist, remarked as she entered Sarah's office. She carried a tablet displaying their analysis of alien technology. "That's our advantage," Sarah replied, gesturing to the holographic displays showing the Assembly's fleet positions. "They expect panic, military mobilization, or diplomatic groveling. Instead, we're treating their ultimatum like a challenge in an escape room." Maya's team had been working around the clock, not to build weapons, but to understand how the aliens thought. "Their technology is incredible," she said, "but it's all linear. Every advancement follows a predetermined path. They can't comprehend how we make such radical technological leaps." "Because we don't follow paths," Sarah smiled. "We jump tracks entirely." The quantum encrypted communication system chimed. High Observer Angsthal's image appeared, more agitated than ever. "Commander Chen, explain this behavior immediately. Your population is celebrating their own containment." "Oh, that." Sarah glanced out her window at the festivities. Humans tend to get excited about new challenges. By the way, how's the investigation into our drone technology going? The alien's antennae twitched violently. In just 3 days, similar drones had appeared near every Assembly observation post in the solar system. None of them did anything threatening. They just hovered there, occasionally playing human music or displaying memes. "Your species' response defies all predictive models," Angstthal said. "The Assembly has contained 17 potentially dangerous species before. All responded with either aggression or submission." "Well, we did warn you about putting humans in boxes," Sarah replied cheerfully. "Would you like to know what else we've been up to?" Without waiting for a response, she transmitted a data packet. It contained patents filed in the last 72 hours, hundreds of innovations derived from studying alien technology. Humans hadn't just reverse-engineered the assembly's tech, they'd started improving it. "This is impossible." Anxthal's translator couldn't quite capture the mix of awe and horror in its voice. Your species was supposed to be pre-singularity. These innovations should take centuries of development. Here's what you missed in your centuries of observation, Sarah explained. Humans don't develop technology in a straight line. We get bored. We take shortcuts. We combine things that shouldn't go together just to see what happens. Most importantly, we share ideas. On cue, Maya brought up the Global Innovation Network's latest statistics. Millions of humans worldwide were collaborating on understanding and improving alien technology. Scientists shared data freely. Engineers posted their findings on social media. Teenagers on TikTok were explaining complex xenotechnology principles through dance moves. Your containment directive didn't frighten us, Sarah continued. It just gave every human on Earth a common puzzle to solve. We love puzzles. The Assembly's response came 3 days later. A fleet of their most advanced warships entered the solar system, taking up positions around Earth. Their message was clear: submit or face extinction. Earth's unified response was transmitted by Sarah herself. New phone, who dis? The aliens' confusion at the casual dismissal of their threat was palpable. They had expected Earth's military to engage, to follow the standard protocols of warfare. Instead, humans treated their invasion fleet like an inconvenience. Meanwhile, Earth's resistance took forms the Assembly never anticipated. College students reprogrammed their dating apps to interfere with alien communication frequencies. A grandmother in Kenya figured out how to use her microwave to detect cloaked ships. A group of Chilean soccer fans discovered that their stadium sound system could disrupt alien sensor arrays. Your species is operating outside all known parameters, Anxthal accused during another tense communication. This is not how containment scenarios proceed. Sarah leaned back in her chair, sipping from a mug that read Class X coffee for a Class X species. You know what your real problem is. You spent so long watching us that you forgot to ask why we do the things we do. Explaining, the alien demanded. Take this coffee. Sarah held up her mug. It's a bitter liquid made from roasted beans that we drink even though it can cause anxiety and insomnia. By your standards, that's irrational. But we drink it because we like it, because it helps us think faster, work harder. Humans don't just survive challenges. We actively seek them out. We get better under pressure. The Assembly's containment fleet was learning this lesson the hard way. Their ships were the most advanced in the galaxy, but they were designed to fight conventional wars. They weren't prepared for Earth's orbital defense satellites that broadcast cat videos on all frequencies. They couldn't handle the swarms of small, automated drones that kept rearranging themselves into giant smiley faces. Their tactical AI had no protocol for dealing with humans who treated interstellar warfare like a particularly entertaining game of chess. Your species cannot maintain this attitude forever, Anxthal warned. Eventually, you must take this situation seriously. Sarah's smile widened. Who says we're not taking it seriously? Humans are perfectly capable of having fun while changing the game entirely. In fact, she checked her watch. You should be receiving our latest innovation right about now. Throughout the Assembly fleet, every ship's computer system suddenly began playing Never Gonna Give You Up by Rick Astley. Earth had just rickrolled an alien invasion force. What the Assembly was about to learn was that this wasn't just humans being ridiculous. While they were distracted by the musical hack, Earth's real countermeasures were about to be revealed. The containment of humanity was about to become significantly more complicated than anyone had anticipated. Coffee, chaos, and combat. The first real battle between humanity and the Galactic Assembly began with a food truck. Specifically, Rosa Martinez's Tacos del Espacio food truck, which had somehow managed to dock with an Assembly warship while cloaked. Would you like to try our special of the day? Rose's cheerful voice transmitted across all frequencies as her truck's cloaking field dropped. We're having a 2-for-1 deal on fish tacos. Commander Sarah Chen watched the incident unfold from Earth Defense Command, trying not to laugh as the massive alien warship's crew tried to process the existence of a Mexican food truck attached to their hull. The assembly's advanced targeting systems had been looking for weapons platforms and military vessels. They hadn't thought to scan for street food vendors. This is a violation of containment protocols. The alien ship's commander sputtered through the comms. How did you even? What are you doing? Expanding my customer base, Rosa replied. Also, your shield harmonics are really interesting. Mind if I take a look while I'm here? Before the aliens could respond, dozens of similar civilian vessels decloaked around their fleet. Food trucks, tourist shuttles, even a converted ice cream van, each piloted by engineers and scientists disguised as ordinary citizens. In the time it took the assembly to realize what was happening, humanity had gathered more data about their technology than they'd managed in the previous week. Did we just infiltrate an alien blockade with takeout? Dr. Maya Patil asked, reviewing the incoming data. Humans are going to human. Sarah shrugged. Besides, who would expect a military operation to involve hamburgers? The assembly's response was predictable. They opened fire. What wasn't predictable was that their advanced energy weapons passed harmlessly through the civilian vessels. The entire fleet had been equipped with experimental phase shift technology, developed by a team of quantum physicists who got the idea from watching old science fiction shows. You know what's really interesting? Sarah transmitted to the increasingly frustrated alien commander. We learned more about phase shifting from Star Trek than we did from studying your actual technology. Sometimes imagination is better than observation. The assembly's containment strategy was falling apart. Their ships were designed for large-scale space battles, not dealing with swarms of bizarre civilian craft that ignored the laws of physics in ways their computers insisted were impossible. Every time they adapted to one human tactic, Earth forces would switch to something completely different. In low Earth orbit, a group of extreme sports enthusiasts turned their space-adapted wingsuits into a highly effective reconnaissance team. Their erratic flight patterns and seemingly suicidal maneuvers made them impossible for alien targeting systems to track. Near Mars, a mining operation converted its entire facility into what they called a cosmic pinball machine, using gravitational slingshots to bounce debris off assembly ships with incredible precision. The aliens couldn't understand why the miners were laughing the entire time. Your species fights like no other we have encountered, High Observer Angstthal admitted during an emergency communication. There is no logic to your tactics. Sarah gestured to the mug of coffee on her desk. Remember what I said about humans and coffee? We don't just drink it because it works. We drink it because someone looked at a bitter bean, decided to burn it, grind it up, and pour hot water through it. Then they took a sip and thought, this is terrible. Let's see if it gets better. What does this have to do with warfare? Everything. Humans try weird solutions. If they don't work, we make them work. If they do work, we try to make them work better. We don't follow tactical doctrines. We make them up as we go along. To demonstrate her point, Sarah authorized Operation Playlist. Across Earth's orbital defense network, speakers began broadcasting a carefully curated mix of human music. Rock, classical, jazz, pop, all played at frequencies that interfered with assembly sensor systems. Their ship's advanced AI couldn't distinguish between actual threats and Taylor Swift lyrics. This is not how war is conducted. Angstthal protested. Says who? Sarah countered. You've been fighting the same way for thousands of years. We've been fighting for less time, but we've tried everything from sticks and stones to nuclear physics. We never stopped innovating. The assembly's frustration reached new heights when they discovered that humans had turned their own containment strategy against them. Earth scientists had analyzed the technology meant to keep them trapped in their solar system and found ways to improve it. Now, assembly ships found themselves caught in zones of twisted spacetime, their own containment fields modified and reflected back at them. But the real game changer came from an unexpected source. A group of baristas from Seattle had been studying the energy signatures of alien shield technology. They noticed patterns similar to the way cream dispersed in coffee and developed a new theory about shield harmonics. Their findings, published on social media and peer-reviewed through a series of TikTok videos, led to a breakthrough in penetrating assembly defenses. "We're not just adapting to your technology," Sarah explained to an increasingly bewildered HFY. "We're reimagining it. You see weapons and barriers. We see possibilities and puzzles. And humans are very, very good at puzzles." The assembly's containment fleet was learning a harsh lesson about human innovation. Their ships were the most advanced in the galaxy, but they were predictable. Humans, on the other hand, were turning their entire civilization into a weapon of mass confusion. As the battle entered its second week, Earth's defensive strategy looked less like a military operation and more like a particularly chaotic festival. Assembly commanders couldn't tell which human actions were actual attacks and which were just humans being humans. Every time they thought they had a handle on the situation, someone would introduce a new variable. Like the space-dwelling dolphins Earth had apparently been secretly uplifting, who now helped coordinate defense patterns through songs. "Your species," HFY finally admitted, "is exhausting." Sarah smiled. "We know, but we're just getting started." The psychology of fear. The Assembly's emergency council meeting was interrupted by the sound of electric guitars. Somehow, humans had hacked their supposedly unhackable quantum conference system to play "Welcome to the Jungle" as background music. High Observer HFY noticed several council members twitching in rhythm despite themselves. "Report," the council elder demanded, trying to ignore the music. "Humans," HFY began, "are not what we thought they were. We believed them to be a primitive species that had developed beyond their natural parameters. We were wrong. They're not primitive. They're something else entirely." The holographic displays showed footage from the ongoing conflict. A human ship, little more than a retrofitted cargo hauler, casually dodging fire from 3 assembly cruisers while its crew appeared to be having a pizza party. A squadron of Earth fighters executing maneuvers that their own tactical eye had declared physically improbable and tactically insane. "They're not fighting us," HFY continued. "They're playing with us." Back on Earth, Commander Sarah Chen was reviewing the latest intelligence with Dr. Maya Patil. The Assembly's encrypted communications had been compromised weeks ago, not by military hackers, but by a group of teenagers who cracked the code while trying to use alien tech to improve their video game streaming. "They're starting to understand," Maya noted, watching the council feed. "They're not just afraid of what we can do, they're afraid of what we might do." Sarah nodded. Fear of the unknown. Turns out it works on a galactic scale. The Assembly had spent centuries developing perfect protocols for everything, including fear itself. Their species had evolved past many emotional responses, seeing them as inefficient. But humans embraced their emotions, channeled them, used them as fuel for innovation. "New development," Maya reported, checking her tablet. "Remember that group of marine biologists who were studying assembly ship movements? They just published their findings. Apparently, alien fleet formations follow patterns similar to deep-sea creatures. Let me guess. They found a way to use that. They're deploying modified whale songs to disrupt fleet coordination. The assembly ships are instinctively responding to the biological patterns. Their crews don't even realize they're doing it." Sarah couldn't help but laugh. The aliens had spent millennia perfecting space warfare, only to be undone by Earth's ocean life. It was perfectly human finding connections where none should exist, turning scientific curiosity into tactical advantage. A priority communication came through. High Observer HFY's image appeared, looking more unsettled than ever. "Commander Chen, we need to discuss the situation." "Of course," Sarah replied cheerfully. "Would you like some coffee?" We've figured out how to synthesize it using your matter replication technology. The results are interesting. Please focus. Anxthal's antennae twitched. Our analysis of human behavior has revealed something disturbing. You're not just adapting to our technology. You're not just finding new ways to use it. You're enjoying this. Well, yeah, Sarah shrugged. Humans love a good challenge. This whole containment situation, it's like the ultimate escape room. The more you try to box us in, the more creative we get about finding ways out. But why? Why treat a serious military conflict like a game? Sarah considered this. Because that's how we learn best. When humans play, we experiment. We try impossible things. We fail. We laugh. We try again differently. Play is how we push boundaries. The feed from the Assembly Council showed the alien leaders struggling with this concept. Their societies were built on order, on following established patterns. Humans took those patterns and turned them into jazz. There's something else, Anxthal added. Something worse. Our predictive model suggests that your species is holding back. Sarah's smile widened slightly. Finally figured that out, did you? The realization had hit the assembly hard. All their chaos, all their seemingly random actions, humans were doing it for fun. They hadn't yet seen what humans would do if they felt truly threatened. Your history, Anxthal continued. The wars, the conflicts. When humans fight seriously, we get creative in different ways. Sarah finished. Everything we've done so far, that's humans being playful. You really don't want to see humans being vengeful. The Assembly's greatest fear wasn't human technology or tactics. It was the growing understanding that they had fundamentally misunderstood what made humans dangerous. It wasn't their adaptability or their resilience. It was their imagination coupled with their emotional depth. A species that could turn anything into a tool, any setback into an opportunity, any restriction into a challenge, and do it all while cracking jokes and making references to their own fictional stories about alien invasions. A species that had turned their own fear into entertainment, their own conflicts into art. Your containment strategy was flawed from the start, Sarah explained gently. You tried to restrict a species that views restrictions as inspiration. Every barrier you create becomes a puzzle for us to solve. Every weapon you deploy becomes a toy for us to play with. And we're very, very good at playing. The Assembly Council feed showed increasing signs of distress. Some members were calling for immediate withdrawal. Others wanted to escalate to full military intervention. A few were suggesting something unprecedented. Actually talking to humans as equals. Here's what you don't understand about humans, Sarah continued. We're not just surviving on a death world. We're not just adapting to harsh conditions. We're actively seeking out new challenges, new experiences, new ways to test ourselves. Not because we have to, but because we want to. She gestured to her office window, where Earth's combined fleet hung in orbit. Warships flew in formation with civilian vessels, research craft next to military platforms, all of them modified and improved in ways the Assembly's engineers had declared impossible. You're not containing us, Sarah said softly. You're inspiring us. And a species that finds inspiration in containment. That's not a species you want as an enemy. The silence that followed was broken only by the faint strains of Sweet Victory playing through the Assembly's communication systems. Somewhere, a human technician was very proud of that musical choice. The galaxy was about to learn that the only thing more dangerous than human warfare was human creativity, and they hadn't seen anything yet. Victory through confusion. The Galactic Assembly's ultimate weapon arrived in Earth's solar system on a Tuesday afternoon. The massive structure, officially designated as a species containment device, was the size of a small moon. Its quantum arrays could generate enough energy to reshape space-time itself, theoretically capable of isolating Earth in its own pocket universe. Commander Sarah Chen watched it appear through a dimensional rift, sipping her coffee while reading the latest reports from Earth's defense forces. The Assembly had expected panic, terror, or at least serious concern. Instead, they got watch parties. Humans around the world gathered to observe what they dubbed the Big Space Egg. Viewing events were organized with commentary from scientists and comedians. Someone had already written a song about it that was climbing the viral charts. Their reaction is unexpected. High observer Engstell admitted during an emergency transmission. This device could remove Earth from the galaxy entirely. "Oh, we know," Sarah replied. "But have you considered what happens when you give humans access to pocket universe technology?" "Because we have. Extensively." She transmitted a data packet to the Assembly Council. It contained thousands of research papers, all produced in the last 24 hours, theorizing about the applications of pocket universe technology. Scientists, engineers, and enthusiastic amateurs had been analyzing the device since it first appeared on long-range scanners. "These proposals are impossible," Engstell sputtered. "Using pocket universes for data storage, clean energy generation, entertainment venues. My personal favorite," Sarah smiled, "is the group suggesting we could use pocket universes to age cheese. Apparently, the time dilation effects could produce some interesting flavors." But while the assembly was distracted by humanity's seemingly casual response to their ultimate weapon, Earth's real countermeasure was already in motion. Dr. Maya Patel's team had made a crucial discovery about the nature of the containment device. "It's like a mirror," Maya explained to Sarah. "A really, really big quantum mirror. And you know what humans do with mirrors. We figure out what's on the other side," Sarah finished. The assembly had built their device based on perfect mathematical models, flawless theoretical physics, and thousands of years of technological development. They hadn't accounted for human curiosity, the burning need to know what would happen if you did something just a little differently. A signal went out from Earth Defense Command, coordinating humanity's response. Every human device, from military platforms to civilian smartphones, began broadcasting on precisely calculated frequencies. Each signal was meaningless on its own. Fragments of music, random conversations, cat videos, cooking shows. But together, they created something unprecedented. The containment device's quantum arrays began to resonate with the combined broadcasts. Its perfectly ordered systems encountered human chaos theory in action. The assembly watched in horror as their ultimate weapon started to dance. "What are you doing?" Engstell demanded. "Teaching your containment device about human culture," Sarah explained. "Turns out, quantum systems are really good at picking up patterns, and humans, we're really good at making patterns out of chaos." The device's energy readings fluctuated wildly as it processed the flood of human information. Classical music merged with heavy metal. Mathematical theorems blended with poetry. The quantum arrays, designed to reshape space-time, were instead reshaping themselves. "Stop this immediately," the Assembly Council ordered. "The device's protocols cannot handle this level of humanity," Sarah suggested. The containment device's surface began to ripple with colors as it incorporated more and more human data. Its quantum processors, trying to make sense of humanity's contradictions, started generating new possibilities. That's when Earth revealed its masterstroke. Hidden among the chaos of human broadcasts was a carefully crafted program. The combined work of Earth's best scientists, artists, and dreamers. It didn't try to fight the device's containment protocols. Instead, it gave those protocols a new perspective. The device shuddered, its energy patterns shifting. The pocket universe it created wasn't a prison. It was a bridge. "Congratulations," Sarah transmitted to the stunned Assembly Council. "Your containment device just achieved something your species never managed. It learned to think outside the box." The quantum arrays, programmed with humanity's capacity for imagination, had created a network of dimensional gateways, not just to one pocket universe, but to thousands, each one a potential path for exploration and discovery. "You turned our containment weapon into a transportation network." Engstell's translator couldn't quite capture the mix of disbelief and reluctant admiration in its voice. "Better," Sarah replied. We turned it into a proof of concept. Your device just demonstrated that the galaxy is bigger than anyone imagined. There are more ways to travel, more places to explore, more possibilities than your perfect mathematical models ever showed you. The Assembly Council fell silent as they processed the implications. Humanity hadn't just defeated their ultimate weapon. They'd improved it, transformed it from a tool of isolation into a key that could unlock the universe itself. Your species, Anxithal finally said, defies comprehension. Thank you. Sarah smiled. We try. The final peace negotiations were unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. The Assembly had to create entirely new protocols just to handle human diplomatic practices, which somehow involved both serious theoretical physics discussions and competitive karaoke. Earth's conditions were simple. Humanity would share their innovations, their creativity, their unique way of seeing the universe. In return, the galaxy would have to accept that sometimes the best solutions come from trying the impossible just to see what happens. You understand, Sarah told the Assembly Council during the signing ceremony. This is just the beginning. Humans aren't going to stop being human just because we have access to more advanced technology. We know, Anxthal replied, its antennae drooping slightly. The galaxy will never be the same. Nope, Sarah agreed cheerfully. We're going to make it better. More interesting. Maybe a little chaotic. But that's how you get the best ideas. As if to prove her point, somewhere in the background, a human scientist could be heard asking if anyone had tried teaching the quantum arrays to play jazz. The galaxy was about to discover that containing humanity had been the easy part. Living with their creativity, that was going to be the real adventure.